Police are searching for more than one shooter. Police believe the shooters pulled up next to a car a woman was riding in Buckhead. She was an Uber Black. Police have not released the victim's identity, but on social media, family and friends say the woman killed was Teisha Brewley. She was a popular Guyanese socialite and media influencer who lived close by.
It turns out she only lives in the next block, so she was less than a block away from home.
Around 4:30 a.m. on May 30th, Atlanta police responded to the intersection of Lindbergh and Adena Drive in Atlanta's Buckhead neighborhood for reports of a shooting at a traffic light. Upon arrival, they would find a woman in the back seat of a vehicle suffering from multiple gunshot wounds.
Atlanta police telling me earlier the investigation here is still very active, and while they have not yet identified the victim in this shooting, we did see earlier plenty of shell casings and evidence markers along this portion of Lindbergh Drive. In Buckhead before 4:30 this morning.
It sounded like a war was going on outside. I was shook.
Residents near Lindbergh Drive say they woke up to shell casings on the ground and to the sound of cars doing donuts and sounds of gunshots.
I mean, like, usually when you hear gunshots, it's just like pow, 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 and then that's over with quick little 2 seconds, but that lasted for about a good 20 seconds.
We need to backtrack. We need to figure out where she came from. So our investigators have a lot of work to do on this one.
In a statement to Atlanta News First, Uber says in part their thoughts are with the victim's family and they are standing by to assist police with their investigation. Atlanta police say the Uber driver is being cooperative with the investigation. They're now focused on figuring out why someone would target and kill this passenger.
The victim was identified as 30-year-old social media influencer, aspiring dancehall musician, OnlyFans model, and socialite Teisha Brewley, popularly known as Tavi Badiee, who was shot dead in the backseat of a black Escalade being used as an Uber. She was struck multiple times after a vehicle pulled up next to the Uber and began firing inside of the vehicle. Teisha recently moved from Guyana with her brother and just celebrated her 30th birthday. According to a neighbor who heard the shots, it sounded like 40 shots using 2 or 3 guns over a 20-second time span. Police stated that the incident appeared to be targeted with multiple shooters based on the number of shell casings. The incident left the Uber driver and residents uneasy. According to the driver, who was uninjured and chose to speak off camera, he picked up Teisha at a strip club on Cheshire Bridge Road. As they left, 2 cars began following them towards Lindbergh Drive, and someone started shooting. A witness who watched everything unfold says Teisha was ambushed less than a block away from her home. Teisha's brother, who was at the scene but also refused to appear on camera, says he has no idea who would do this to his sister and that she has worked at the strip club. A look into Teisha's social media history revealed that a couple months prior to her murder, she appeared to be in a dispute with an unknown woman where Teisha would make various posts throwing shots at the other woman. It is unclear just how long the beef went on and whether or not it was still going on at the time of her murder. Police immediately began searching for a light-colored sedan believed to be connected to the incident and established a closure in the vicinity of Piedmont Road and Adena Drive.
We're learning more about an Uber passenger shot and killed in Buckhead, and police are telling 11 Alive that they believe that woman was actually targeted and her killer is still on the loose. 11 Alive Bobeth Yates is live close to where it took place on Lindbergh. So Bobeth, what's the latest?
Well, Ron, we found out the shots were fired at this intersection behind me. In fact, that second lane right there. And as police investigate, they're asking anyone with information to come forward.
It was rapid fire. It looks like she went down to the floor for cover.
Jahari Humbles described the shooting scene at the intersection of Lindbergh and Adena Drive.
You could see that, something pretty bad had happened, and there was one person that didn't survive.
According to Atlanta Police Department, officers arrived on scene to find a person shot in a black Escalade being used as an Uber. We're told the passenger who was in the back of that vehicle was struck multiple times after a car drove up next to it and began firing into the vehicle.
This appears to be a targeted incident. As you can see the number of shell casings, there were multiple shooters. But again, we just don't have a whole lot to give out right now.
Police have not released the victim's name, but neighbors identify her as Teisha Brody and said she moved from Guyana with her brother.
It turns out she only lives in the next block, so she was less than a block away from home. I think they just caught her at the red light. It looks like that she was ambushed.
While information is currently restricted, authorities have indicated that 2 additional sites, namely Cheshire Bridge Road between I-85 and Beaufort Highway, as well as Lennox Road at Beaufort Highway, might be linked to the ongoing situation. The case remains ongoing.
This morning, this officer responded to a person shot. Upon their arrival, they did in fact find a female shot inside a black Escalade. She was a passenger inside the vehicle. Right now, this appears to be a targeted incident. Still, the scene is very active. As you see that we're still working it, multiple shell casings. We also know at around 4 o'clock this morning at Lennox and Beaufort, there was another property damage with vehicles being shot at, and we're trying to work very closely to see if that is related to this incident as well. Right now, we don't have much to give out. Various witnesses have said that there's some type of sedan just due to the daylight and the nighttime and the lights at night. We don't really know the vehicle color. It might be a light colored sedan. So right now we're just asking anyone if they saw anything, heard anything, to call Crime Stoppers where they can remain anonymous.
We'd heard there might be multiple weapons and this might have been an exchange. That was from some of the witnesses?
Right. I mean, right now, again, we've been told there could be maybe 2 vehicles involved. But like I said, we just need to verify that. So like I said, we still have detectives on scene talking to a couple of witnesses. But right now, we know that there was, again, as you can see, the number of shell casings. There were multiple shooters. But again, we just don't have a whole lot to give out right now.
Multiple weapons then?
Again, I don't know yet. So still under investigation.
And the shooters coming from 2 different cars shooting at each other?
Possibly.
And could it have been a 3rd car involved? Or
again, it's still very early on, and so we're trying to piece a lot of things together. So we're still waiting on the leasing office to see if there's any cameras here that we can verify exactly what happened. And so again, once we get more information, we'll provide an update.
What can you tell us about the victim as far as, I mean, not her name, but approximate age, any of that stuff?
Again, 30.
Around 30. Definitely 30.
This is a targeted shooting.
It appears to be targeted.
Any indication what
no.
targeted?
Yeah, and that's again, we need to backtrack. We need to figure out where she came from. So our investigators have a lot of work to do on this.
Has the driver been helpful?
Again, the driver has been helpful right now. Again, I'm not going to the caliber. Again, we just have multiple shell cases on scene. So thank you.